Hey, we're William and Susan. We're the Brinsons, and welcome to our house at Stonyford.
Thanks for watching our first vlog. It is our very first one, and we're excited to share our renovations with you. As you can see, we have a project started right behind us.
Giant mess.
The mess is in the hallway. We're living in renovation land. Thanks for checking us out, and we'll show you what we're working on. We are super excited to start the one room challenge, and we've had to keep this under wraps for several weeks, if not months, and we can finally share it with you. So what we're gonna do is take you through all of our plans, all of our thoughts, our excitement, and our anxiety about this one room in our home. This room has been hanging over our heads since the day we moved in. Whenever we moved in, we had my parents and Will's parents and some friends of ours, and we were like, we're gonna tackle this old house. Let's strip some wallpaper. So we picked this room to start. 3 years later, the room looks exactly the same. I don't know why, but this room has become the armpit of our house, the bane of our existence. We are so embarrassed to have our friends or family stay in this room whenever they come over, but it is one of our main guest rooms. Whenever we heard about the one room challenge, we said, 6 weeks, you're crazy. There's no way that we can refinish the floors, continue stripping the wallpaper and reskim the walls and fix up the walls and paint them and decorate the room in 6 weeks. There's just no way. But we decided to commit to do it because it gives us the kick in the pants that we need to finish this room once and for all and end our embarrassment. And whenever you see it, you'll know exactly why we are embarrassed. Let's take a tour of the room. This is the door standing in the upstairs hallway that leads into the room. As you can see, we have orange floors galore. This is that old poly type of floor. Just looks really bad. So these are the floors that we're gonna fix with Michael. This is the bed area. Furniture layout wise, we're going to leave the bed here, but we're gonna get 2 matching side tables that make way more sense for this type of space. And the room has these panels on the wall. We're going to paint this from the bottom floor right here all the way to the top the same color. The reason why we're doing that is because we have one door that we walk through, then we have this door that leads into our bedroom, then a closet door, and one more door, and that's the door that leads into the dressing room or where our office is right now. If we walk over to the other side of the room, we have these 2 windows. There is a lot going on in not a very big room, so what we want to do is simplify the architectural molding and busyness by painting everything the same color. The ceiling is going to get a makeover, and that ceiling color is going to be a brighter blue so that your eye lifts up and it feels very inviting and uplifting, even though the walls are a darker color. These are our paint colors. This is Faro and Ball, and the top one is going to be the ceiling color, and the bottom one is going to be the walls and all of the molding. I think that the paint job in this room is going to be what makes it absolutely stunning. We also paint our radiators. We want them to blend into the wall and not be a visual distraction, and everyone has a different opinion about this. That happens to be ours. These sconces are going to get replaced with sconces that are currently in our bedroom. They came with the house. They're a little too traditional for our bedroom, but I think they'd be really nice in here because they're a pretty traditional crystal style sconce. What we're going to do to minimize the doors is we are going to paint them the same color as the walls, and we're going to do the same thing with the molding. This door we pretty much want, the one on the left, we pretty much want to be unusable. It goes to our bedroom. There's no reason to walk between the 2 rooms. Taking out the door would be way too complicated, so we're gonna just paint it and hang pictures on it, and hopefully no one will know the better that it's a door. The closet door are the same. We're gonna paint it the same color just so that it's not so much of a visual distraction in the room. This is our office. I don't even know why I'm putting this on the internet. I'm like embarrassed to put this on the internet. This room is a decent size. It has this little return here. This wall right here is the back of the closet. Has a nice little nook. All of the molding has these inset panels which has wallpaper in them. We're gonna have to remove that, and we'd like to hang new wallpaper. We're gonna do the same thing with the ceiling and paint it that beautiful blue color. We're definitely gonna need a new light. And this little room is gonna, I think, really come alive whenever we make these changes. It's a big space. It's a decent sized space whenever you get in here and walk around. I want it to be like a little jewel box.
Susan's been talking to you a little bit about the design elements that she's going to put into the room, and I want to talk to you about some of the construction process that we're going to go through. We have these fantastic plaster walls. They've lasted for 100 plus years. Little cracks here and there, but they're really still pretty durable. And opposed to drywall, when these guys get wet, you're still okay for the most part as long as you clean it up. Drywall, it would have been a mess and you probably would have had to change it all. But luckily this room is still dry. Now, in the past, after we had taken wallpaper off way back in the beginning when we bought the house, I came and I filled spots like this just when I had extra plaster. We just weren't committed to doing the room, but now we're 100% committed. And what I want to show you is that whenever you're going to do a wall like this and fix these cracks, this is before I knew what plaster anchors are. Plaster anchors are these little silver, like little dials almost, or little washers, and they have holes in them. And what they do is you can take drywall screw, pop them in on either side of the crack. And what that does is it keeps the plaster from moving, and that way your crack doesn't come back. Now the washer has the little holes in it, and that's what helps grab either the joint compound you're using, or if you're using a chemical compound. And we are going to actually use a chemical compound for our first patch here. And the way we prep for that is, if you look at these deep cracks here, this is kind of the continuation of what we see here. We have taken one of these tools, and with the sharp edge, we gouge out the middle of the crack to give us a little bit of a V. And what that does is it allows us to have enough area for the compound to go in. Now the compound I'm talking about is called Quickset 45, and it comes in different numbers, and what the number means is how long you have to work with it. So I need 45 minutes. It's tough stuff. Once it dries, it is super, super hard. So now I want to talk to you about some of the tools that we're going to use in the room. We've got this wire brush, and that's going to help us knock some of the paint off the wall, and also use this scraper here to help gouge out where we need to. It's just kind of a handy tool. I wouldn't use this on anything that you have to do just a little bit of work to. This is definitely more for the tougher renovations because this will scratch the wall, but we plan on covering that up, so we'll be okay. So we're going to start with that. Then next, we're going to use one of these tools, which we use for stripping wallpaper. We use these for everything, but we're going to use these little points here, and that's what we're going to use to gouge inside of the cracks on the wall, which allows us to have that nice V to put the Quickset into. And then next, we're going to mix up. This is the Quickset that I was telling you about. 45 minutes because it's really hard. I totally cannot stress that enough. The first time I ever did this, we sanded for hours because I put it on too thick. So we'll use this, and we'll use a putty knife, and sometimes we have to go in, even though this is not quite a putty knife, it's a little bit harder, we just need this to push it into small spots. But with these tools, you pretty much are set to go. After we've scored the cracks in the wall, we're going to take our chemical compound, which is the 45-minute stuff, because that stuff just gets crazy hard, crazy fast, so I need the 45 minutes. You have your V here, and that gives you enough of a space to put that compound in, and it reaches deep. Now, you don't have to score all the way down to the lath. You just have to get it enough that it's picking up both sides and is at a decent amount of a patch. Now, once you hit 40 minutes, you're going to take your spackle knife and wet it a bit, and you're going to smooth it over. And that just helps take down some of the ridges, because I said this stuff is crazy, crazy hard. And that way it reduces your sanding time.
Look what just came from the Fringe Market. Very, very excited to look at these. And she's really kind. She sent me so many other samples so that we can see what we want to put on furniture or what we want to use to make curtains. This is really going to be fun. And the sewer in me is kind of having a meltdown because it's stuff like this that makes projects look really, really custom. and I'll tell you about the project that we're going to be doing and how I'm going to customize it to make it look like it belongs in an old home. The way the curtains are going to look is, this is our window. I'd like to mount the curtains inside the window casing with a little hook, thinking 3 hooks would work. And we'd like to have a swoosh to the side, but then we want to have a header piece. And off this header piece, we can have some beautiful, really dramatic fringe. And then we can also put a different style of fringe on the side to add another layer. Is it bad if I just want this tassel to want it? It's so good. I don't know what I would use it for. I just really like tassels in general. All right, let's get back to business. What I want to do is I want to look at all of these other fringes and see what we could use them for. I have a vintage luggage rack that would be so cool if I repaired the cloth parts on it with a beautiful stripe like this. It would certainly give an old luggage rack a new life, and whenever we have guests stay in our room, one of our friends who travels a lot was like, please have luggage racks. So I've been picking them up at flea markets. Here's our illustration that we were looking at downstairs. We have 2 pieces of fabric here. One is the overall curtain, and then 2 is this piece of header fabric that's going to get a very long fringe like this. I have this fabric left over from another project, and I think I have enough to do these 3 windows, including the header. This fabric is really nice because it's a natural linen. It gives a nod to our country location and takes down a little of the fanciness in the rest of the room. It'll be a nice complement. I'm at one of the 3 windows in the room, and we're looking at this for scale. I thought that these felt really big, but whenever I go to hold them up, it actually feels pretty nice. And this is the piece that would come along the edge here, and have a little bit of a distance between the 2. These look really nice up here, so I think this is going to be our trim for the curtain. This is an old luggage rack that was left in the house when we bought it. I love the feet on it, the little claw feet with the wheels, and it just needs to be repaired. The straps are broken, so if we repair it with this, it would help to give it a much needed update, modernize it a little bit, and it would be functional again. We are going to talk about inspiration. Whenever we first start a project, how do we get the ideas? Where do they come from? How does it all come together? This is where we start. And you guys know Pinterest is a thing. I love Pinterest, but frankly, whenever I go into the search bar of Pinterest and I search images to pin, I'm going to this magazine called World of Interiors. This is a British magazine, and it features really, really unique homes. Sometimes there are interior designers that work in the homes, and sometimes there's not. I just like them because you can really see the homeowner's personality come through. And I find that whenever I look at things, sometimes I see a lot of things that are the same. Things are very homogenized, they're very similar, and I try to stay away from that. I would rather see homeowners with homes that express their personality. So let's take a look at some of the homes in World of Interiors and why they're so inspiring. First, the cover. I mean, seriously guys, the color on this blue right here is very similar to the ceiling that we're going to do in our one-room challenge bedroom. This is super inspiring for me, and we'll get to the article on the inside. But first, let's see what you're going to get if you look at World of Interiors. I love this small article about an artist who is a paint developer, and you can see all of her chips on the walls here. She doesn't even have fancy furniture in her studio. She uses her plastic bins here to make her little table. This article is about art history, and World of Interiors I love because they definitely have the product pages that we all want to see and where people get things that they put in their home, and then they also educate us about the history of design. This particular article is from between 1865 and 1889, and it's illustrations from India, and the artist wanted to capture the culture of and their craftsmanship because he was afraid it was going to die with he was British, I should say. He was afraid it was going to die with a lot of like cheap knockoffs being made for export to Britain. So he went around and he captured the artisans and their craft. One thing that World of Interiors is masterful at doing is creating spaces that combine the old and the new. And we live in an old home, but we also like modern things. I always look to World of Interiors to see how they're doing this. One big thing is texture. If an older space has texture in it and the newer item has texture in it, you'll often see them play these two off of each other. In this space, I mean, look at this table here. We have peeling paint, all of this decoration, and then this very contemporary table. Next up, let's look at some of these interiors that are very traditional. I like looking at furniture layout for these interiors because I might not have put this chair in front of the window like that, but it looks really beautiful there. So I try to look at things that maybe I might not have tried, but I should take a second look at. And like this, I would never do. Like hang artwork in front of a lampshade like that. No way. But it looks really layered and it looks really good. The next article is called Life on the Nile. And this is a reprint from 2003, but it's so relevant to what we're seeing today. It's exotic. It's layered, it's textured, and I like how they combine pattern in this article. Can you guys believe this is from 2003? I mean, it looks like what's happening right now with the boho trend. We can see here that they have like 1, 2, 3, 4, all the pillows are different patterns. That would be 5, 6, 7. They have so many patterns going on in this room, and everything is combined together. What I notice is that they all have red in them. And whenever combining patterns, I'm going to see if I can have a color that all of the patterns have in common. It'll make them look like they go together. I also like on this next page how they've taken carpets and layered them in an opium den style. Some of these carpets don't have it really much in common with each other style-wise, but they do have a color palette in common. This article is an older home, and it is really a play of contrast. In some areas it's very light and bright, and in other areas it's dark and moody. Here they have white walls, it's very light and bright. Look at that sink. I mean, that sink is just to die for. And then they have these hallways which are still textured and really reflecting the light beautifully, but they're very, very dark. And I mean, walking through this hallway, you must feel like you're being transported on a journey somewhere. And then, of course, there's this room, which is the chinoiserie room. I mean, the inspiration here is thick. It is hitting all my notes. It has the color, it has texture, it has maximalism. This is a room that I wish were in my house. So I'll spend some time dissecting this and seeing how to recreate a similar look. One thing that jumps out at me are the many things on the walls. We have this shelf with objects on it, a shelf with an object, all the way down here, another shelf with an object. And we can see these almost go to the floor. 1, 2, 3, 4 shelves here with objects on it. This is a very cool look and something I'm really inspired by. Also, the chairs are very different, but they still talk to each other. They still have a relationship. And here, the beautiful piece of chinoiserie with, again, all of the little shelves around. Of course, World of Interiors delivers on a little bit of the unusual. And I love this because I want to see unusual. I don't want to have a house that looks like anyone else's. And whenever I see publications online, oftentimes they'll ask a lot of other people, well, what do you think about this space? And everyone's like, I couldn't live there, blah, 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 I couldn't do this. We don't decorate our house for other people to want to live in it. We decorate our house for it to be original, and they publish these incredibly original spaces. This one happens to be a historic space. It was done in the mid-1700s. It is rooms full of seashells. We're going to look at one more article from World of Interiors. The reason why I wanted to show you guys this one is because it's really easy to look at magazines and say, oh, that would never be me. It's never in my area, you know, wherever you might live, especially if you look at World of Interiors, because they feature a lot of really exotic locations throughout Europe and like the English countryside, which I'm completely ready to move to. They did feature this one house in this particular issue that is in the Hudson Valley in New York, which is where we live. So let's have a look at this particular house and see how they handled showing their personality in their space. I love this house. This is an old house, and what they did is they painted the walls all white in order to showcase their amazing art collection. They kept the walls color really simple so that the art would stand out from room to room. One thing I like that they did is they left the textured floors here, and that makes the white walls not feel so sterile. I think this is a really nice move here to make it feel lived in and have a lot of personality. And then next up, you can see that they have their art collection displayed on either side of the hallways. And I like how they place like this random branch in the corner. This is really lovely against the white walls. Their art collection is throughout. You can see here and here and here how many different pieces of artwork they put such an incredible focus on. Look at this piece of the woman and the table. It's a beautiful piece. Thanks for hanging out while we talk about inspiration for the bedroom that we're working on for the One Room Challenge. If you want to see more, you can always follow us on Pinterest. We're at House of Brinson, and I'll keep pinning inspiration as I find it.